August 19th, 1944. East Prussia. General Oberst Alfred Jodl pored over the latest intelligence reports from the Western Front. Maps, charts, and calculations of Allied supply lines stretched across hundreds of miles from the Normandy beaches to Patton's spearheading Third Army. Every German officer knew the rule. No army could maintain such speed without fuel. Patton's armored divisions had already outrun the projected limits. One division burned roughly 150,000 gallons of fuel per day. According to German estimates, American forces were now 400 miles from their supply depots. The expectation was simple: they would stall. Within hours, tanks should grind to a halt, infantry should dig in. German staff whispered among themselves, "They cannot continue, they must stop soon." But the Germans had overlooked something critical. Behind the front, thousands of trucks rumbled eastward in a continuous, unbroken convoy. Headlights cut through ruined villages, bombed out roads, and cratered highways. This was the Red Ball Express. 12,500 tons of fuel, ammunition, and rations moved toward the front every 24 hours. A supply operation so bold that German doctrine considered it impossible. The columns stretched for miles, drivers navigating mud, shell craters, and destroyed bridges. Mechanics worked tirelessly, patching engines, changing tires, repairing radiators. Military police directed traffic, cleared obstacles, and ensured movement. Even Luftwaffe reconnaissance could not halt the flow. Every hour, every mile, American logistics defied every rule of mechanized warfare the Germans had learned. Jodl and his staff recalculated. Supply rates, distances, daily fuel consumption, enemy resistance, all models pointed to one conclusion: Patton should stall at the Seine. German planners predicted a pause, a chance to regroup, perhaps a delay until winter. Yet the convoys rolled on. Every calculation failed. On the highways of Belgium, a German officer watched the endless stream of trucks and remarked to prisoners in clipped English, "We prepared for everything, tanks, planes, even ships, but we never prepared for your trucks. How do you defeat an enemy who has more trucks than you have soldiers?" The answer passed before him at 5-minute intervals, a river of steel and human endurance. Each mile delivered fuel, each crate carried ammunition, each truck ensured that Patton's army could advance without pause. Within 72 hours, tanks that should have stalled smashed through German positions at the Seine. German generals stopped laughing. They finally understood. The rules of war had changed. The advance continued without interruption. Patton's armored divisions pressed forward, supported by the relentless convoys. Roads that should have been impassable were crossed. Bridges blown to rubble were repaired or bypassed within hours. Artillery fired at empty roads. Luftwaffe attacks on convoys were intercepted or too late to matter. Every obstacle, every prediction, had been accounted for and overcome. Drivers of the Red Ball Express were exhausted, young, often barely trained, yet relentless. Nights were spent driving with dimmed headlights to avoid detection. They navigated broken asphalt, shell craters, and minefields. Meals were eaten on the go. Sleep was stolen in truck cabs. Maintenance crews worked while engines cooled. Every successful delivery ensured Patton's forces maintained momentum, morale, and operational effectiveness. German officers could only watch and record the facts. The Americans did not stop. Tanks moved forward, infantry followed, artillery was supplied, fuel flowed, and the Third Army advanced further than the Wehrmacht had anticipated. Convoys became invisible forces dictating the tempo of battle, forcing Germans to react rather than act. By late August, Patton's forces reached the outskirts of Paris. German commanders, including Jodl and Model, realized their projections had failed. Their calculations of supply, distances, and fuel were meaningless against the audacity, discipline, and industrial power behind the Red Ball Express. The operation was unprecedented. Over 5,000 trucks moved continuously, covering thousands of miles in weeks. Mechanics repaired hundreds of vehicles daily. Drivers averaged more than 200 miles per day under fire, often navigating destroyed roads with no margin for error. Bridges were rebuilt, roads cleared, and convoys moved without pause. Every delivery reinforced the advance. Every mile shortened the distance to German positions. Every truck carried the means to win a campaign. Patton's forces, supplied beyond expectations, maintained a speed the Germans could not match. Tanks, infantry, mechanized units continued without pause. Logistics had become strategy. Supply was weaponized. German calculations were obsolete. The Red Ball Express wasn't just about moving trucks. It was about coordination, timing, and endurance. Dispatchers planned routes hours in advance. Every mile accounted for fuel, vehicle wear, enemy threats, and traffic congestion. Convoys moved on staggered schedules. Delays were minimal. Maintenance teams moved forward, meeting convoys on the road, repairing engines on the go. If a truck broke down, others took its load. The operation was fluid, adaptive, unstoppable. German intelligence struggled to comprehend the scale. Reports noted columns stretching dozens of miles. Observers estimated thousands of vehicles moving day and night. Supplies that should have been exhausted were replenished faster than the Wehrmacht could destroy them. Every attempt to ambush, destroy, or intercept the convoys failed. American discipline, planning, and sheer numbers overwhelmed every German prediction. Soldiers at the front described the convoys as a lifeline. Infantry and armor units trusted that fuel, ammunition, and food would arrive without fail. Tanks that should have halted remained operational. Artillery units fired at full capacity. Morale soared. German troops, in contrast, faced the growing realization their opponents were operating on a level of coordination and supply that seemed impossible. By the end of August, Patton's forces had advanced farther than any German model had allowed. The Third Army crossed rivers, bypassed destroyed bridges, and engaged enemy forces continuously. The Red Ball Express ensured they never ran out of fuel or ammunition. The pace of operations shocked German commanders. Predictions of delays, supply shortages, and operational stalling proved wrong. The Americans were always ahead. Even with attacks, sabotage attempts, and relentless pursuit, the Red Ball Express kept moving. The speed, efficiency, and audacity of the operation demonstrated one clear lesson. Logistics could win battles and even shape entire campaigns. German generals began to accept a harsh reality. They were no longer dictating the terms of engagement. Patton's army dictated them. As September began, the Third Army pushed deeper into France. The Red Ball Express continued without pause, trucks rolling day and night, headlights cutting through darkness, engines roaring, wheels crushing the remnants of destroyed roads. Maintenance crews repaired engines at roadside. Drivers slept in their cabs, ate cold rations, and continued onward. Every mile, every delivery, every successful resupply kept the army moving. German command struggled to respond. Rear positions were under constant pressure. Supplies could not be intercepted. Counterattacks were piecemeal and ineffective. The scale of the American operation was unprecedented. Convoys moved faster than German artillery could target, further than German intelligence could track, more efficiently than German logistics had ever imagined. The Third Army's momentum was unstoppable. Tanks, infantry, and mechanized forces surged forward. Bridges were rebuilt in hours, roads cleared within minutes. Fuel and ammunition were always available. Every mile shortened the distance to German defensive positions. Convoys were no longer simple trucks. They were a strategic weapon. By mid-September, German officers could only record what they saw. Patton's forces were advancing further, faster, and stronger than expected. Red Ball Express had turned logistics into a decisive factor. Speed, discipline, and industrial capacity made trucks more lethal than tanks or artillery. German calculations failed. Their expectations, built on conventional understanding of supply, had been shattered. The Third Army continued its push into occupied territory. Supplies flowed endlessly. The Red Ball Express proved that a well-coordinated, relentless supply line could sustain offensive momentum indefinitely. Logistics, organization, and human endurance had become the most powerful weapons on the battlefield. The Wehrmacht could no longer dictate the pace. Patton's army moved forward, unstoppable, fueled by ingenuity, determination, and the endless trucks of the Red Ball Express.